Hey there, welcome to another edition of What Barrie's Talking About from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely. On this week's program, we meet a couple of more of the Barrie candidates in the federal election. Earth Day was Tuesday. Is it as big a deal as it used to be? Should it be? Barrie Colts have advanced to the OHL Eastern Conference Final, and the Barrie Public Library is bringing criminal minds together. We get the conversation started after this. She was a candidate for the Liberals in Barrie Springwater Oro-Medonte in the recent provincial election and is now a federal candidate in the riding. Dr. Rose Zacharias makes her case for your vote with Barrie 360's Ian McLennan.
Rose, you ran provincially, so your name would be, I believe, familiar with a lot of people in the riding that you're running in. Why are you back again?
Why am I back again? So indeed, I was the provincial Liberal candidate back in the cold February, and that campaign was incredibly meaningful for me as a family doctor that's lived here for the last 22 years. When the provincial Liberals led with healthcare, then that made a lot of sense. Campaigning and going door to door and having the conversations and asking what's on people's minds when it comes to election. Honestly, people last time round didn't talk so much about healthcare, but what they talked about was Trump and tariffs and where's Canada going, and a lot of anxiety around the anticipated federal election. And so honestly, as a through line, as a physician in the community and caring about how stress and our mental health impacts us, and also wondering myself and feeling that anxiety and knowing that Canada now needs an incredibly strong leader to face what we are facing and being told will be an incredibly uncertain time. And so here I am as the federal Liberal candidate and running on the Liberal team.
What strengths do you bring to the table that might be even different than how you marketed yourself provincially?
So I'm a people person and I am wired for advocacy. I have, in my years as a doctor, have personally experienced frustration inside of a system. I'd say the healthcare system, because we know that the healthcare system has issues. We still don't have enough family doctors. We wait too long in the emergency department. That actually hasn't changed. And so being someone inside of a system and then knowing what can I do to make a difference here has made this make complete sense for me that I would stand up as a representative seeking the MP seat here to go to Ottawa and advocate for our community and to join a very strong leader in Mark Carney. I think what I have experience in bringing forward the voice of the people is exactly what I want to do for our community.
Now, Donald Trump's brought obviously a lot of uncertainty to the future of this country, and people are wondering what happens next. But leading up to Mark Carney, issues around affordability, health, the economy, that just didn't happen when Donald Trump appeared. That also were issues for people under 10 years of Justin Trudeau. So what makes Carney different? And I ask that because some have suggested that, Carney was whispering in Trudeau's ears that there really isn't much difference. Is there a difference in leadership?
There's an incredible difference. It's a stark difference. Mark Carney is not Justin Trudeau. And I think we see that story is already playing itself out across Canada. Since this election has been called, there has been a predicted formation of a Liberal government again. And honestly, I didn't see that coming. Definitely not under the mantle of Trudeau and another run for him. However, Mark Carney is now at the helm, a world-renowned economist and a principled leader that I think has a long view of what our former Liberal government decided, the social spending that happened, even the investments there in dental care, pharmacare, and some good decisions made. However, I see Mark Carney steering the ship into some principled decision-making, seeking a more balanced budget and a sustainable investment. And he has the track record. He led us through some financial crises as Governor of the Bank of Canada, Governor of the Bank of England. We're not consulting him now. We are He's in charge right now and seeking a mandate on behalf of Canadians. And I think he has the track record to show us that he's the strongest leader for this time right now.
Now, Carney led Canada through the 2008 financial crisis and received praise from the Conservatives at the time, then Prime Minister Stephen Harper, et cetera. What is it about Pierre Poilievre that the Conservative agenda that worries you? Because some have said, well, Mark Carney's a new face, but it's the same team behind him.
So I have had so many conversations at the door with people who are incredibly concerned to have Pierre Poilievre as Prime Minister. And these are people who've actually always voted Conservative, but they do not see Poilievre as having the business mind that Mark Carney does. I have had conversations with people who have for generations voted Conservative and still hold to some core values there and are smart, business-minded people that want a strong leader. And they see when on the ballot they choose between Carney and Poilievre, they will choose Carney.
So you're saying it's coming down more to leadership than party?
I think it's coming down to leadership, and the principled leader here with the economic experience is the Liberal leader.
When you say principled, what do you mean by that?
I see in Mark Carney a very steady, calm depth of experience. And I see him also as someone who has evaluated where are we now with years of Liberal government, and where now can we be responsible spenders, sustainable investment, understanding what does Canada have in its natural resources, how do we now need to diversify our international trade relationships, how can we stand up to the cutting off of the United States from partnering with us and actually attacking us and our economy, our businesses, our jobs, and knowing what it's going to take to steer us through that time. That's what I see when I describe Mark Carney as principled.
Now, Trump has flipped the election on its head, both the Conservative agenda when Trudeau was in power, but bringing it home to the people in Barrie Springwater Oro-Medonte, the issues of affordability, being able to own a home, pay for groceries, get treated when I go to the emergency room. Yes, there's provincial responsibility too, but it overlaps. But those issues, take Trump out of the equation, exist. How is Carney going to fix that? And what are you hearing? Because you must be hearing those concerns.
Absolutely. Yes, we're having these conversations all the time. Mark Carney is talking about affordability in a way that I don't think a Liberal leader has talked about before. He is talking about an incredibly ambitious house building plan.
I'm going to throw there. Do you think anybody who is running with Carney and was with Trudeau wouldn't have whispered into Justin's ear to suggest you're going in the wrong direction? Or I'm just curious, suddenly it's all changed.
I wasn't in the room for those conversations. I see what I see now, and I do see Mark Carney being absolutely clear and a leader in making these commitments and having the experience to back it up. I think to have been handed the mantles that he has in the past as governor of the Bank of England during that tumultuous time, having led through the 2008 financial global crisis. He was the economic advisor, leader, and that who now is now who stands to seek the mandate as our prime minister going forward. And at that time,
there wasn't a party affiliation. He whispered in ears of Liberals, Conservatives, and beyond.
Absolutely. So the Liberal Party right now is not consulting an expert. The Liberal Party right now has the leader who is the economic expert. It makes sense to me as a doctor, actually, when I'm dealing with a complicated patient who has, multi-system disease and it's a life and death situation and it's a medical crisis. Who do I call in? I call in someone who is experienced, who has managed this type of complexity and difficulty before. We don't have to look for that. We don't have to consult for that. We have Mark Carney now as the current Prime Minister. He has acted in ways. He has met with our premiers. He has shown that this is going to be a multi-government level effort to have Canada be strong in the face of what we're facing and that uncertainty. I'm incredibly proud to be on this team. It is the wind in my sails. It's the conversations at the door. I see it coming as our strongest option for Canada, that the Liberals would form government and I would be our MP.
So let's talk about very quickly then affordability, whether it's buying a home, whether it's groceries. People want that reassurance that they can do that. What's going to be different if you represent this riding? Mm-hmm.
So I am looking forward to Mark Carney seeing these commitments through, launching an incredibly ambitious, the most ambitious housing plan since World War II. And, the federal government has been in the business of building homes in the past. I know it's been a provincial jurisdiction, but even seeing Mark Carney sit down with Doug Ford, you can see already there's plans in place, there's concrete commitments, building nearly 4 million homes by 2031, launching a $1 billion Canada Builds partnership with the provinces and territories. I mean, these specifics have been spoken to, and our jobs. So that investment in the skilled trades. So getting rid of the bureaucratic red tape that has held up a lot of the catalyst for the building and the security of the jobs and we've just come through COVID. We know what it feels like to go to the grocery store and have something missing or cost 2, 3, the global supply chain impact that the pandemic brought on. That's anxiety that happened yesterday. How are we now going to go into that type of future without the strength of a leader to help navigate that? So those are the conversations that I'm having at the door. This is even the peace of mind that people are having when they say, Mark Carney can lead us as the Prime Minister going forward. And once again, incredibly proud to be on that team.
Coming up later, Ian's conversation with Barrie Springwater Oro-Medonte Conservative candidate Doug Shipley. Took some doing, 7 games, but the Barrie Colts have advanced to the OHL Eastern Conference Final against Oshawa. We look back at how they got there and how things look moving forward with Colts colorman Gene Pereira and Barrie 360's Will Compton.
Well, it went the distance, Gene, but the Barrie Colts got it done, captured the 6-4 victory over the Kingston Frontenacs in Game 7 at Sadlin Arena. Now they're lined up to face the Oshawa Generals in the Eastern Conference Finals. But Gene, what can you say about the series with the Frontenacs, and especially that Game 7?
It was quite the night, I think it turned out to be what we all thought it would be, which was a long, hard-fought series. And when push come to shove, I thought Barrie had a little bit more depth, and that came out in the wash, so to speak, over the series. Barrie was outstanding when they had to be, and they were really good in Game 7. They carried the play. They heavily outshot Kingston, and their power play came through. But again, it's you look at the big players for Barrie, and they all came through in the biggest times. Aitchison 2 goals last night. Bertucci was really good, and Baldwin was his usual self, and of course you had the likes of Van Stiesel, Wakely, and Romani, who were really good pressure. But I thought last night Barrie got a complete effort from the whole team, and that was the difference. I mean, guys like Bodie Stewart were really good over the last 2 games. Brad Gardner, I think, really stood out last night to me, just on the forecheck, and I think they were a better team, and that ended up being, it was a tight series, but credit to Charlie Schenkel, who really tried to keep his team in the game last night, but losing Quint Burns with that slew foot halfway through the second, he logs a lot of minutes on the blue line. Really hurt Kingston, even though they didn't give up a goal on the ensuing 5-minute major. It really cost them, and in a series as tight as this one, it can really tip the boat, and the Colts eventually took advantage.
You mentioned off air that the Colts, for them, things are looking like they're starting to click for the club, eh?
Yeah, I think they're coming together. I mean, this is a team that seems really has really gelled really well, and it took a little bit of time after the trade deadline, and there were some struggles during that second half periods, a couple of 5-game losing streaks, which just seemed really out of place with a team as talented as this one. But since the playoffs, they've been really good, and they've been really good at home too. I mean, you hold fort on home ice, you protect it. That's what they work for all year. They're going to have that here in the next series against Oshawa, which is big. It'll give them the chance to match lines and get the guys that they want out there. But they won all their games. They've won all their games on home ice, and the biggest one of them all, Game 7 last night against Kingston. 3,800 fans at the Saddler Arena. It was a pretty boisterous crowd, and they were ready to celebrate. And the Colts made sure that they were able to with one of their better efforts of the season.
I asked you this before, but what was the locker room like after that Game 7 win? What's the Colts' mentality going into the Oshawa series?
Yeah, I think they feel pretty good right now. They're a confident team. They're ready. They know that Oshawa, it's going to be a tough series. As it's been. Barrie won the season series 3-1, but that doesn't mean anything now. Oshawa's playing some great hockey. They have a veteran netminder in Jacob Oster, who's outstanding against Brantford. And then, of course, they added Colby Barlow. Their team they got a little bit more depth, as well. That they'll be tougher to match against. Of course, Cal Ritchie and Beckett Seneca was really good in that series way over Brantford, and he's going to be a force. One of the top picks in the NHL draft last season by Anaheim. It's going to be another tight series. I think they're ready for it, but the Colts feel confident that if they play their game, they play their style, that they can win this series and move on to the finals. But I think we're in for another long one.
Is there any area of the Colts that is lacking that Oshawa could capitalize on? Do you see any holes in Barrie?
Yeah, I think, with Barrie as it's been, there's been some inconsistent play at times. You've heard Marty Williamson talk about playing 60 minutes, and, those lapses, especially come playoff time, just even a single lapse could prove to be the difference. That, and I think penalties as well, but times Barrie took some bad penalties against Kingston, and it cost them. Whether or not they gave up a goal against, but it also took away from that momentum that they seem to have at times, and that's something. Not taking those key penalties at bad times, and making sure that they stay out of the box, and again, just playing a consistent game. Last night, right from the drop of the puck, I thought Barrie was very good. They gave up the first goal early, but they didn't panic. They just kind of stuck with their game, and they have to do that against an Oshawa team that, like I said, they got some big guns in Seneca and Barlow and Ritchie, but this is a team that's deeper as well. I mean, Owen Griffin has just been playing outstanding on the blue line. The Oshawa has some big guns there. Andrew Gibson was a big trade deadline acquisition, played for Team Canada at the World Juniors. So this is a really good Oshawa team, and for Barrie, it all comes down to who can make the fewest mistakes, and a big part of that is making sure you're playing consistent hockey, and as well as staying out of the penalty box.
So the series kicks off in Barrie at Saddler Arena. Game 1 is Friday at 7:30. Game 2 is Sunday at 6, and Game 3 turns to Oshawa on Tuesday. Gene, final thoughts as we enter this series?
It's going to be a great one, and obviously you like to see that packed rink. I mean, the players respond to it. They talked about it last night, about how much how loud the crowd was, and how much that helped them. And this is a team that all years had it. They've had their eye on going to a championship, and the opportunity is that much closer now. And I think we're in for a heck of a series. It's going to be some great hockey, and credit to Kingston. I mean, they pushed Barrie as hard as they could, and it went the distance, and I expect that again here with Oshawa. But I think we're in for some great hockey.
We appreciate the insight as always, Gene. Giddy up.
Thanks, Will.
This is what Barrie's talking about from Barrie 360. I'm Dan Blakely, joined by Andy Pellin, Executive Director of Living Green Barrie. Earth Day was a couple of days ago. You have a number of events in the coming weeks. Is this a tough sell for you these days? I remember when I was much younger, Earth Day was a big deal. Everyone jumped on board. People were excited. Are they still excited, or has it become difficult to rally the masses?
I think there's a lot of noise out there right now, and I think what might be, arguably the most important thing has been, it's also the biggest thing. And I think this is one of those things that people are so overwhelmed by the sheer volume of just noise that is coming at them on a daily basis. And then you have this big thing that's even more daunting. So I think there's a lot of shutting down right now, and I think sadly, that's the exact opposite of what we need people to do. We need people to get a little bit more excited about it. And so one of the things that we're trying to do with Earth Day and with our messaging and everything is to offer some hope, offer some positivity, offer some optimism on, that if you want a better future, if you want the future to be okay, then you got to do something about it. You got to engage. You got to get out there. And that's really what we're going to try and do with this Earth Day.
Still, there are a lot of people out there saying the Earth has been around for millions of years and it seems to have been able to look after itself. Why are we so worried about this?
Well, we're not really worried about the Earth. We're worried about humanity, aren't we? Like, when we're gone, the Earth will still remain. I mean, really, we're talking about trying to save ourselves from ourselves. So, Earth Day should be about cleaning up our home. Like, this is our home. It's the home of a lot of other creatures that we haven't been super great with. And but I think the big thing is that we want to make a better world for now, for future generations, and that's really what Earth Day needs to symbolize. It's not about the Earth. The Earth will always be here, but do we want to be here with it? I think we do.
Does this take on new significance for you this year because of the ice storm and all of the trees we lost? Is it a bigger deal this year?
I think so. I mean, the thing with trees is, obviously there's some that are just, they had to come down. But a lot of them were just beaten up, which is really kind of symbolic of the entire environmental industry right now. We're just yet another hit kind of thing. And, I think for us in this area where we're seeing the physical manifestation of the storm with the branches of these trees that we grew up with, that we have some emotional connection with down, it can't help but just be another hit on what's going on right now. But I think that's why, us as a tree planting organization, we're about hope. We're about, you plant a tree now, even if you're in your 80s or 90s, right? You're not planting that tree so you'll sit under it. You're planting that tree for future generations. Is there anything more hopeful than that? I don't think so.
A lot of events coming up, one involving trees, the first one of all of your activities on the 26th.
Yeah, well, actually, the next month and a half is all about trees. So we have 12 actions for climate, but in May, it's all about planting trees. On April 26th, we are having an e-waste recycling event, a recycling drive, and we're saying swap your E for a tree. So we're going to be anyone who brings down some e-waste or some food donations for the Barrie Native Friendship Center's Hunger for Hope program, we will give them a little baby tree to take home with them. They can plant it in their yard. They can plant it underneath the opening where their tree used to be, depending on what's happened to them.
Yes.
And these are very small trees, but again, you're planting the seeds of what will be in the future, and that's really what this is about. And I think the doing it as an e-waste drive, I love the symbolism of taking this electronics, these things that we all kind of know are pretty harmful to the earth, and then switching that in, letting those raw materials be recycled, and then walking away with a tree. We're hoping for something that this will spark some imagination and get people inspired.
So you're talking cell phones, tablets, laptop computers?
Yeah, and actually the heavier the better. So even better if you've got an old printer or a monitor or one of those big TVs we used to have, even better, because we actually get a bit of a rebate from Quantum Recycling by weight. of the amount of e-waste that we're going to collect. So I'm actually hoping that we fill that entire canister and then maybe have it overflow and just impress everyone with the how good this is.
And I'm sorry, did you say where you were doing that?
Yeah, it's at Quantum Recycling
Okay.
at 220 John Street.
And a time?
In Barrie. It'll be between 9 and 3
Okay.
during the day. And we're going to have a bunch of trees out there. Myself and another arborist are going to be there to answer people's questions. I know people have a lot of questions about their trees right now. We're going to have some of our other board members talking about all of the other environmental things that we're trying to do. Clean Up Barrie will be there. They'll be handing out some free litter kits, and they'll actually be doing a little bit of a garbage cleanup around the area.
A lot of other things happening through the month of May. Let's run down some of them.
Yeah, so we also have 4 community planting events. So you can go to our website to sign up for those. With those planting events, we're going to be doing that in conjunction with Clean Up Barrie. So there'll be some garbage cleanup as well. Because again, we want to transform as much as we can of Barrie into a greener, lovelier place for people to be. And that's really what this is about. And, you know, I really say that, like, not only is planting trees a hopeful thing, but it really is one of those things that grounds you to your community. So now you've planted a tree that literally is laying roots in your community. So I really encourage people with young families to come out. New Canadians, if you're new to the area, I really encourage you to come out. There's nothing more symbolic and physically a manifestation of like laying roots in Barrie rather than actually putting some trees in the ground. And we only plant native trees and shrubs. So trees and shrubs that were here for millennia, long before us humans started walking around.
And I bet in addition to all of these people you're hoping to recruit for these activities, you're probably looking for other volunteers to join the group on a regular basis.
Absolutely. So we're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for people who are able to support us, to look at some of the events, to help us run these events. And obviously, we're looking for donations. We are also a registered charity. Right now, sponsorships, donations, grants, everything is drying up. So I think, I hate to use a trite expression, but now more than ever, it is so important to support an environmental charity. I mean, you don't know what you've got till it's gone,
Exactly.
Joni would say. And we are at that point where we need people to step up. And I think what we're offering is hope for the future. And I'm hoping that people are excited to join us.
Best place to get more information and join up on your website?
Absolutely. Go to our website at livinggreenbarrie.com, and you can find all the information about the tree planting events. You can sign up for our newsletter so you can find out more about what we're doing. We are looking at having a native tree and shrub low-cost sale in June, so people can start replacing some of their broken tree branches with some new trees for some new life going into the future.
Andy, thanks for the time today. Thanks for all you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
Something new to do at the library. Dig into true crime. Library associate Sarah Spencer has put together a true crime book club, which caught the interest of our Will Conkin.
What inspired the Barrie Public Library to start a true crime book club?
Well, we host other adult book clubs here at the library, and true crime has, it's really kind of taken off. We've had a lot of people actually asking for a true crime book club, and I think that one of the things about the library is that we want to connect people through shared interests. And I know that being a true crime fan myself, we've all kind of talked to someone about, or tried to talk to someone about true crime stuff, and the response has always been like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Or like, how are you even talking about that? So this is our way of like removing the stigma and gathering shared interest and like-minded individuals to talk in like a safe space about the things that they're interested in.
So was it you that proposed this?
Yes, I've actually been looking to start it for a long time, probably even pre-COVID, and it just never kind of took off. but true crime has always been something that's interest to me. I know I recommend a lot of true crime books to people. I listen to a lot of the same podcasts, and I know that a lot of our staff members also, they've recommended other podcasts and other books to me. So I just thought it was kind of a natural thing to bring up.
Who is this book club? Who is it for?
Well, it's for true crime readers, anybody who's even a little bit interested in true crime, or they're kind of looking for something different maybe. So even if you're an expert or if you're kind of a novice with the genre, there's always more to learn. And, you may think that you know everything about the case, but there's always a new tidbit of information. It's always changing. There's always more discoveries coming every day. I think people who are kind of considering themselves armchair detectives, or maybe they just like to read mystery books or something a little bit more interesting, I think they'd be interested in this.
How did you decide on the monthly themes for the club?
Well, we kind of went back and forth with some of the librarians and the management, and we wanted to be inclusive. So we wanted to reflect on a wide range of true crime topics, and we wanted to kind of focus on some of the collections here at the library. I personally wanted to mix it up and cover all different genres to be inclusive of people and backgrounds. So I've tried to include some of the lesser talked about genres. I've included a book like Starlight Tour, which is a story about systemic racism here in Canada against Indigenous people. I've also included a book by a local author. We're doing an entire month called A Woman Scorned. So it's all books written about women murderers and women serial killers, which is there's actually very few of those, so it's kind of a smaller genre within. And I think fans of true crime also have varying interests. I wanted to reach each individual interest and create a broad theme to avoid maybe people's triggers. So, for example, a lot of people will say that they love true crime, but they can't handle anything when there's like children involved. So for our month on unsolved murders, you can choose to read the book on JonBenet Ramsey, or you can read something else, depending on what your interest is, what your triggers are, what your comfort level is as a reader.
For sure. What can participants expect during a session?
I think they can expect a lot of fun facts. The difference between like reading a book and listening to a podcast is that there's a lot more information in a book as opposed to in a podcast. There's going to be a lot of reader's advisory. Maybe one group member will choose a book that's different from what the other group members are reading, and then we can talk about that. Maybe somebody else might want to read that book afterwards, or they might decide like, hey, I never knew that. Like maybe I'll check that out. And I think maybe we'll even solve a murder. Who knows? Absolutely. Which book are you most excited for? Which month are you excited for, I should say? I think I'm really kind of excited about the Cults one, which is our first one that we're talking about. I just actually finished reading the book on Jim Jones, and like as much as you know about that case or you've heard about that case, the People's Temple, there's always something new. Like I had no idea that he sold like live spider monkeys out of the back of his van to fund the cult in the early days, literally selling monkeys to fund the People's Temple.
Oh my gosh.
And then they had an orangutan or something like in Guyana with them, which is crazy. So, I mean, I'm always finding new stuff. So I just think cults are so interesting. For the session too, how long is it, and what's kind of the setup? It's an hour-long chat discussion. We can stretch it out, or people can meet earlier or stay later if they wish. There's going to be about 5 to 8 books based on the theme. So there's going to be a variety of discussion. We're going to hopefully take the time and have everyone talk, everyone discuss what they found interesting, things that they didn't know, learn some new fun facts. Just a lively discussion of people who are like kind of into the same thing and into the same kind of dark true criminess of the whole thing. And within that realm, and you kind of already touched on it too, how do you create a safe and respectful environment for discussing these topics? First of all, we want to be like as inclusive as we can. So the safety of our participants is a top priority. We prioritize respectful discussion. I'm going to be in each session, so it's going to be facilitated by a staff member, me, who can set clear guidelines for participation. It's also one of the reasons why we chose the reading list instead of a single book, so patrons are able to choose what they read based on their comfort level. My way of kind of offsetting the true crime, the kind of terrible things about it, is to add a little humor. So, for example, one month we are reading books that are all written by family members of murderers and serial killers. So I've dubbed that month Awkward Family Reunions. And it's featuring a book by like Carrie Rawson, whose father is BTK. So we're just trying to look at unique ways of looking at different perspectives. And at the same time, it's a safe place. So if you feel like you need a break, you're welcome to leave the discussion, or you're welcome to say, hey, I'm getting a little uncomfortable by that. Can we maybe, step away from that topic for a little bit? And we want it to be a completely judgment-free zone. So if there's a month that you're completely uncomfortable with, you're free to skip that session or do whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Is there any age restrictions as well? Can anyone join?
Right now we're limiting it to adults. So we're trying to make sure that it's a mature, responsible audience. And we believe here at the Barrie Library, intellectual freedom and respect is of utmost importance, and an individual's right to choose what they read. So we want to make sure that everyone feels welcome, but for now, it's going to be mostly adults.
Is registration required?
Registration is required. You can go to our website and register at barrielibrary.ca/events. The first session is May the 14th at the Holly Branch. Once you register, you'll get an email with the book list. If you're not sure if you want to join the group, but you're curious to see what we're reading, there is a book list on our library catalog with highlights from the reading list. And as of right now, we are fully booked up and we are on a waiting list. But we're encouraging people to join the waiting list because, people may drop out and we may open up another session. We'll try to figure something out to get as many people in as possible.
And I think you kind of touched on it as well. What role do public libraries play in providing these kind of spaces for discussions?
Well, again, being a library, we are a safe space. And I've kind of likened it to watching a scary movie. Like you want that adrenaline and you want that fear and that curiosity, but you want to experience in a safe place. And I think the library is perfect for that. And when you're with people who get you and get your interests, I think that makes it so much better. And again, where can people find more information? barrielibrary.ca is our website. You're welcome to come in and talk to any of the staff members about it. I am at the Holly Branch, so you can come in and talk to me. There's a couple of us there on staff who are kind of true crime experts or enthusiasts, so you're welcome to come in and talk to us. Or you can even send us an email at askus@barrielibrary.ca or give us a call at 705-728-1010.
And now the last of the Barrie riding candidates who accepted our invitation to chat up their campaign. Here again, Barrie 360's Ian McLennan, this time with Barrie Springwater Oro-Medonte Conservative candidate Doug Shipley.
Why are you seeking another mandate to represent the riding?
As a sitting MP for the last 5.5 years, I've heard many, many heartbreaking stories from the residents about issues that are going on. Affordability, housing pricing, crime. I've heard it. I've had people in tears in my office, on the phone, and we've helped them all. And it is time to get Canada back on track. So I really want to put my hat back in and try to put Canada back where it should be. It's an important election. We need people to get out and vote. But really the number one reason is to try to help people and try to help Canada.
Now you're kind of an on the grounds kind of guy. Not that, you're in Ottawa too, but are known to be very constituency focused. Do you like that part?
I like it better. Quite frankly, sometimes the stuff in Ottawa, people don't really know what we do there. It's really not hands-on. That's why I used to like municipal politics so much. I like helping people. I like the customer service part of it. I'm very proud of my efforts. I'm very proud of the things my team and my office and I have done over the last 5.5 years. And prior to that, being on council for 9 years. But, it's even interesting. You can go on, see our Google reviews. And we've got amazing Google reviews from unbiased people who've come into our office or called our office or emailed our office who needed help. And we've always helped everybody, no matter what walk of life you're from, no matter what political party you're from, we help them all. I really stress that with my team. And yes, I do believe in strong constituency work. I try to go to as many events as I can. I try to get out and say hi to as many people as I can. And I'm always available, and I will remain always available.
Now, the Conservative Party did release the platform, which is projecting $75 billion in tax cuts, $35 billion in new programs over the next 4 years, and carrying a deficit of $31 billion this year. Poilievre has hammered home tax cuts, but who's going to pay for those programs if taxes do get rolled back? There is a fine balance.
Yeah, there's a good plan. Quite frankly, inflationary spending and deficits just keeps going up and up. So we needed to stop that. But we're being given some books that are just out of control. Spending over the last 10 years under this Liberal government is just astronomical. There's been more debt accumulated in the last 10 years under this Liberal government than there has been in the lifetime of Canada. So it's not going to be an easy task. Pierre Poilievre is very focused on the budget. He's put together a great plan where we're going to be reducing the debt year over year. It's not something that's going to be eliminated quickly because there's a big job to have, and people still need services, and we're going to make sure people are looked after and taken care of. So I think we've got a great plan out there to do it slowly, do it safely, and make sure Canadians are still looked after.
Now, Poilievre said going to cut the Liberal deficit by 70%, cutting back on consultants, bureaucracy, and some of that foreign aid. Not all of it, but he said those that go to dictators and terrorists, maybe slash money for special interest groups. What are special interest groups? What's he mean there?
Well, I haven't seen the details of specifically who he picks, but I know, one of the things he specifically talked about was the consultants. He's talking about $10 billion. That's with a B that we're spending a year on consultants. That's just atrocious. And a lot of that money was going to Liberal insiders and Liberal friends. That's the type of waste that's going on in Ottawa, and that's what needs to spend. It's interesting. I'm going to relay this back to my old days when I was on Barrie City Council. I really am a fiscal conservative. I used to look at everything when I was on council in $5,000 increments. And the reason I did that was because I always looked at it and thought the average house in Barrie back when I was on, their taxes a year would be $5,000, property taxes. So whenever something would come up to me and say it was a $20,000 bill, whatever it would be for a service, whether it be new furniture for the waterfront or whatever, just an example, I would look at it and it was $20,000. I would think, okay, that's 4 homes of $5,000. And I would think, okay, is it better spent on that furniture for the waterfront? Or if you could say to those people, I will let you off of your property taxes for a year, what's a better way to spend your money? People are struggling. $5,000 is a lot of money to people. I know this is going back to my city council days, but it's just kind of proof that I'm a true fiscal conservative. I believe we need to help people. We need to spend money in the right places, but we need to stop wasting taxpayers' money, and our taxes are way too high. I'm hearing it from a lot of younger people. Now they're starting to work, they get their paychecks, and they're just amazed how much they're losing off their paychecks. Now,
Poilievre also announced that it would be a government referendum, not politicians decide if Canada needed to raise taxes. Is that taking away what government is supposed to do, make some sometimes hard decisions?
Well, there's lots of hard decisions to be made, but I think, quite frankly, when it comes to spending money, the people should say where it's going and how it's being spent. And Pierre is an interesting guy. He has traveled this country for the last couple of years tremendously, coast to coast. And I've heard him speak of some of the people he has met, and it's been heartfelt to him. I'll never forget.
But do you think any Canadian would vote for a tax increase? Or if you sell it properly?
I'll tell you what, if they're going to vote for the Liberals, they're voting for a tax increase.
But do you think Canadians would vote for a tax increase? I mean, if Canadians were asked to go to the polls and support a tax increase, do you think they really would? Or if it was explained where that money was going, maybe?
If it was explained and they had an option, perhaps. I'm always surprised at sometimes how people vote and what they want. If it's important to them, I'm sure if you said it was for health care, they probably would. If they said it was for wasteful spending, absolutely not. So that's where we need to start drawing the lines, is in appropriate care of the property or the public money.
Now, the polls are sometimes can be seen as a dime a dozen because they flip every day. But Mark Carney is the new leader of the Liberal Party. But what else is new about that party? Or is because some have said that, well, what's behind them is the same group that was with the previous prime minister.
Yeah, it is the exact same group. Even we're hearing the platform itself was made under the Trudeau government. He doesn't even have his own platform. People are struggling. Canadians are struggling. Residents of Barrie Springwater Oro-Medonte are struggling. If they want change, there's only one choice, and that's Conservatives. If you want the same old thing, vote Liberal. You're going to get tax increases again. Crime's going to continue to go up. Housing is going to continue to go up. A lot of issues there, but we will make sure change is implemented and get Canada back on track.
Now, Carney is focused a lot, obviously, and Canadians are very focused on Donald Trump and the tariff situation. What would Pierre Poilievre do different that Carney is trying to do with the president right now?
Well, the first thing we have to get down and get straight is we are not going to control Donald Trump. Donald Trump is going to do what Donald Trump wants to do. What we need to do is make Canada independent and strong again. We need to make Canada sovereign, independent, get off reliance of foreign countries for minerals, for oil, for gas. We have all these riches here. We should be incredibly independent and ready to go.
Have we had some missed opportunities? Germany, Europe are looking to the gas that Canada does offer that we don't have the pipelines now.
We had countries come to us. I was sitting in the House of Commons and I heard these debates. We had countries approach us wanting to purchase our LNG specifically. And Trudeau and the Liberal government said there's no business case for it. Now they've gone to other countries. Now the money's going to other countries. There is a business case for it. We've got great resources here. We need to start using those. We need to start making our sovereignty important. I guess if the one good thing that came out of this whole issue is people are starting to realize what Canada has become. We have become too reliant on other countries, especially the United States. Canada is a strong, vibrant, sovereign country, and we need to be proud of that, and we need to get that to grow.
And that's a wake-up call for all parties, is it not?
I would think so. I think it's a wake-up call for all Canadians.
Finally, Mr. Poilievre did a lot when the Prime Minister was in power, Justin Trudeau, talking about Canada is broken. He doesn't use that slogan anymore. So did it get fixed, or was he forced to change the messaging, do you think?
Well, I think the message was always that there are issues in Canada. And as I said, I've been going around to thousands of homes, not just in the last couple of months, but the last 5.5 years. And, let's take a couple of examples. Crime. Crime is up tremendously. Look around Barrie. Look at some of these homeless encampments in Barrie, what's going on. It's just heartbreaking. Affordability. Groceries have gone up over and over. Food bank usage in Barrie, way up. Housing prices have doubled. Rents have doubled. People are struggling. One of the most heartbreaking parts of this is listening to younger people coming out of college, university, trades, high school, in their 20s and 30s and trying to start a life in Canada. The dream of home ownership, buying a nice house, living on a nice street, raising a family, quite frankly, are gone for some of these kids. A lot of these kids, most of these kids. And we need to restore that dream, that hope, and let them have the opportunities that we once had and that they can share in going forward.
And Election Day, remember, is Monday. That's our program for this week. Thanks to Ian and Will for their input, to Matt Ladder for his technical touch, and to you for listening. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to What Barrie's Talking About, rate it, review it. You can also keep up with What Barrie's Talking About on Blue Sky and X at Barrie360, on our website, Barrie360.com, and our daily Kickstart podcasts available from any streaming service and on our website. I'm Dan Blakely. Hope you'll join us again next week.